Hey, this is Chuck Garric from Beasto Blanco.
Hey, this is Calico Cooper from Beasto Blanco, and you're listening
To Sonic Perspectives.
I may not be born with a crown on my head, but mom gave me muscles and knuckles instead. Got iron inside and dirt in my nails. I swear drag the stones that are blazing this trail.
Hi everyone, Rodrigo Altaf here from Sonic Perspectives. I have here on the line two members of an exciting hard rock band from California, Mr. Chuck Garric and Calico Cooper from Beasto Blanco. Great to have you guys here today.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so first of all, tell us a bit about the band's history and where does the name of the band come from?
Well, the band started around 2012. Started with the idea of just Brother Latham and I had tons of song ideas just floating around, and we really wanted to see what we could do with them, you know. And Calico and I have worked together for the last 15 years, and we'd always talked about doing a band together as well. So as we started to write songs and get in the studio, it just seemed natural to bring Calico in, and because a lot of the vision that I had for Beasto Blanco called for a dynamic personality like Calico, a stage persona, a voice like hers. So it just was sort of something that just slowly developed into, what is Beasto Blanco now. And primarily the name for me and what it really stands for is I was taking on a totally different role with Beasto Blanco than I was used to in the past, being primarily a bass player and a singer, where I was taking over more of the duties of being lead singer, guitar player, frontman. Mm-hmm. Beasto Blanco to me was just a character that I created and sort of got named itself from the music, because it just had this animal type energy to it. That Beasto Blanco was sort of, my way of turning fear into courage, and was just a persona that I'd put on to give me a little bit of a boost when I hit the stage. And it's one of the things that I think when you hear the name Beasto Blanco and then you hear the music, it all makes sense.
And aside from you both, who else is in the band with you?
Well, we've got Brother Latham on guitar and Jan LeGrau on bass guitar.
Cool. And the question for me that begs to be asked, Chuck, you've been with Alice Cooper's band for years now, and Calico is Alice's daughter. What has Alice said about your work?
Alice, I gotta say, is giving it 2 thumbs up. He really, I think that his enthusiasm was a little shocking to me. I was blown away by how much he loved the music and what we were doing. When he saw the show, he was completely impressed. I think it's when Calico had played him the version we did of Feed by Frankenstein. He always said he never thought that song could sound sexy. And but he's been great with us with Beasto, and he backs it 100%.
I think it's super cool too that we got the opportunity, both of us to learn from the master. We toured for I toured for 11 years with them, and so these little things that I picked up, are stuff that only like a legend could pull off. And I just thought, like, okay, well, I'm seeing what he's doing. I'm seeing what works. And so, you really did learn from the Kung Fu master. So
I got to ask you as well, Chuck touched on the Feed My Frankenstein cover. Calico, was there any resistance from you about recording that song and fear of how it would be perceived?
I think that we've always really wanted to do something that that the Alice fans backed and that they were excited about. But I always said I never wanted to be in a band, and it would have to be something that was super exceptional. You know what I mean? And really something I believed in, and really something that that I loved the music. That I could get behind the theatrics and everything, and Chuck and Brother Latham really provided that. Their vision for what this was going to be, was really amazing. And so, so that was my first step, was to say, okay, I didn't want to be in a band. Okay, I'll be in a band. And then once I was in, and we started making music together, and it started really going well, they got me because they said, we want to cover My Frankenstein. And of course, my first reaction was like, only because I really did want to do my own thing. And I was really proud of the band. But Chuck was really, really, he was set on the fact that this wasn't going to sound like the original Frankenstein. It was going to have its own thing. And I said, well, why don't you just play me what you're thinking? And he played me the song, and it took me a good 20 seconds to realize that was actually Feed My Frankenstein. I mean, it sounded like something out of a Quentin Tarantino film. And yeah. I went, okay, well, I can do that. So a little bit of resistance, but I'm happy to say that even I can be wrong. And I'm happy we did it. It sounds great, and it's one of my favorite songs to do live.
It's certainly a very different take from the original material, for sure. And I think it added a lot to the song, the way you guys did it. But I listened to both of your albums, both of your studio albums so far. And although it's undeniably hard rock, I found it a bit hard to categorize your sound. I mean, there are influences of everything from Motley Crue to Motorhead. How would you guys define it?
That's a compliment. I'll take it. Thank you very much, because I think that when you even listen to this next record, we were almost finished with our third studio record now. You're going to hear just a band that's just raised on rock and roll. I mean, we listen to so much different music that we don't want to be stuck doing one style. We do rock and roll very well. And that's what we do. I never sit down and go, okay, I have to write a song exactly like this song or exactly like that song, because it just gets boring as an artist. I kind of just, whatever's coming out of me at the time and whatever we're whatever's happening. Sometimes we're writing songs some sound check, and we're doing stuff on the road, and so there's all types of different emotions in there. And I certainly loved bands that when you got their record, when you bought a David Bowie record, you never knew what you were going to get when you listened to the David Bowie record for the first time. And I love that about that artist. And Queen, especially, they seem to be able to go back and forth from different styles of music. And those are obviously some great artists that I mentioned. And I'm not putting us side by side with them, but I definitely do take that approach when it comes to songwriting. That we're a hard rock band, and yeah, I do love Motorhead, but I also love a lot of other bands.
I mean, think about also somebody like Alice, who puts out records and his fans have followed for, 4 decades. And whenever you buy an Alice Cooper record, it's like, I mean, which era? He is rock and roll. And I think that those records were such a great way to be brought up to say, yes, this is the same artist, like Madonna. You know what I mean? What is a Madonna record? It could be anywhere from, Ray of Light to Like a Virgin to, electronica. It's just anything. So I just believe that that's the mark of a well-rounded artist.
Yeah, for sure. I think in an era where everything is so predictable, having that dose of unpredictability of your sound, adds to it a lot, for sure.
Yeah, and our stuff it's just our approach to rock and roll. It's what we do. It's how we go about it.
And both of you guys have been in the business for quite some time. What were your main influences when you started?
Oh, man. Like I said earlier in the interview, I just was a child that was, just surrounded by music. I grew up in a family who loved, old bluegrass and country music, and my brothers were, born in the 70s and turned me on to all that great classic rock and roll at the time. I played music at an early age. So most of my influences just came from different types of bands. I loved AC/DC. I loved Queen. I loved Ted Nugent. I loved Humble Pie. And I love Rob Zombie. And I just think it's all just one big blob of just influences and memories and things that have changed my life.
And for me, I was brought up on, the classic hard rock. My dad loved, Laura Nyro and, all really classic artists. I mean, he would play me everything from Bacharach to to Elvis to Love, all these crazy bands. And so I grew up having a really wide range of what rock and roll is, because there is so many sides to it,
For sure. And Chuck, if I could just take a sidetrack here just quickly. You toured with Dio briefly during the Magica tour. What was that like?
Oh my God, that was life changing. I mean, we all grew up, especially me, a huge Ronnie fan. I mean, I loved Rainbow and I loved Black Sabbath. I loved Dio. That was one of those sort of moments in your life that you realize was the game changer, was the one thing that absolutely shaped me, changed my life forever. Working with Ronnie, I learned so much being a professional on the road, in the studio, writing with him, just being around him. He was an amazing guy to be around, very positive. And like I said earlier, him and Wendy really gave me the break that has helped me out to this day.
Yeah, he's certainly missed for sure. And Calico, are you focused 100% on Beasto Blanco, or do you have other endeavors as well? I mean, do you have a solo career as well?
No,
Careful.
I do so much. I have a production company of my own, and I'm developing 2 TV shows right now.
Wow.
It's really good to have a lot of pots boiling at once. I mean, what brings me the most joy definitely is Beasto. I mean, that's what I do, and it's what I love to do. And I can never wait to get out on the road and just kind of like Chuck was talking about. He created Beasto, that character, as someone that could give him courage and someone that could give him that push he needed. And I think that that Beasto means a different thing for everyone. For me, the Beasto was never about courage. It's about, for me as a woman, it's like a hat I put on that gives me permission to behave any way that I want to. So when I get on stage, I'm a very different person than you're talking to right now. It's almost like when that costume is on, I can be vicious, and I can be a murderer, and I can be a sexual deviant, and I can, do all these things. And then when I walk off stage, and pop the contacts out, I'm back to, directing commercials and and developing TV shows. But my joy really is Beasto, and I get the most excited about doing things, with them. And the film and TV thing is something that I've always loved, but it's always going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's always going to be something that I enjoy doing in my time off.
Sure. And you touched on one thing I was going to ask you. There's got to be a process for you guys to get into character, so to speak, going on stage, because it's almost like you're different people on stage, right?
I wish I could tell you that it was a harder process than it is. For me, I think that I am that person, and that's like, there's a billion different styles of acting in my world, living in LA and stuff. And some are imagination based and some are reality based. And the one that I click with the most is that we are all things. You know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of serial killer in me. There's a little bit of serial killer in you. It's just how crazy you are is how fast you can access it. And, when people talk about, I need 30 minutes to really get into character. That's cool. And if that's your process, that's awesome. For me, you just have to ask. And so, yeah, it's something I enjoy, almost like, it's, some people love exercising. Some people love that. I love that character. I love the freedom that comes with it. So, I'll have a glass of wine and like I said, paint on my eyes and I'm ready to go.
That's interesting because, for me, it's like I feel like I'm always Beasto now, especially in my life. But I know when it really hits me is when it's almost showtime and Calico comes walking out. And she's always sort of been my biggest influence, like when she's ready to go, it's toxic. It's like I look at her and I go, all right, I've got to give it my all because I know what I'm dealing with right now. It's like jumping into the ring with a champion, and and you've got to be on your A game. And if I'm not, I feel like I'm letting her down, and that's something I don't want to do. So I'm always, when I see her walking up and the lights go down and we're about ready to hit the stage, it just hits me like a mad rush, and it just turns me into that. It just turns me on and turns me into that character. I'm into it.
And it's a great euphemism, as somebody said to me once. This acting coach of mine said, "You play your best tennis against an Olympic tennis player. If I play tennis with somebody that's not that great, I'm not going to play my best game. You'll play just enough. It's just human nature. You'll play just enough to win the game, but it's not your best tennis. When you get into the ring with somebody that, is Holyfield in boxing, is Serena Williams, you better bring your A++ game and you still might not win. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel too. Like getting on stage with Chuck, like I can't rely on standing around. I mean, it is something to take in, a giant 7-foot tall woman. You know what I mean? But but if that's all there is, that's fluff.
That's such a great metaphor that you said about tennis or boxing. I'm going to definitely use it somewhere else for sure. And, well, of course, you guys both split vocal duties on the albums and on stage as well. How do you decide who's going to sing what? How do you split that?
I think it just happens with, we don't ever plan anything, to be quite honest with you. We sort of just figure out what the set needs and what the show needs. Sometimes we'll plan a couple of things. We'll talk about, obviously the concept of the show, but for the most part, a lot of it happens in the studio. Who decides what parts she's going to sing and what parts I'm going to sing, and then we'll change it up live. Like I said with Calico, she's forever. She's like a shapeshifter up there. You never know what's going to happen. We may rehearse something, but come showtime, I guarantee you she's going to do the complete opposite and do something else. But it's going to be cooler and it's going to be in the moment. And she's so in it. She's never anywhere else. I noticed the one thing about Callie is that when she's doing something, I can tell she's doing that. There's nothing else going through her mind. And so sometimes when that happens, you've got to have this freedom in order for things to work. And so we sort of give each other that freedom live, that to just whatever happens, and let's just make the best of it. But not only that, but it is art, so let's go for it.
And I also got a feel, listening to the studio albums, that the material simply begs for some sort of theatrics on stage. Do you write the songs with that in mind, or does it come naturally when you're preparing the live shows?
I think I'm starting to get that concept a little bit. I think I'm starting to realize, maybe some of the stuff we're writing for Calico or we're writing in the bridge sections or whatever, is it something we could do theatrically? But for the most part, we never really did do it that way. It just sort of took its own form, and like, again, I don't want to keep patting Calico on the back, but I'll just say, hey, here's a prop, and she'll sell it. She'll make it happen. And we will, then that becomes part of the show. Like Motor Queen and songs like that, Freak, Machine Girl have all become very big theatrical songs for us now.
Can we tell you I have to tell you a funny story. One time we were doing a show where they wouldn't let us use our CO2 cannon. And it was, that's my favorite part of the show. It's this big visual where we like blow this cannon off. And I was like, it's the song, the break that we do it is so long. It's like the long, and because I'm the only one that doesn't have an instrument on stage, you guys have something to do. I've got a minute and a half just like with my, my thumb up my butt. And so I'm like, I grabbed these wires that were on stage and it was the song Machine Girl, and I plugged them into my stomach and then acted like I was getting electrocuted and like I went crazy. And then in my head, I remember thinking, like, I'm riding around, and I just remember thinking, what am I doing?
Well, I mean, and that just goes to show you the beauty of Beasto is that I've never heard the word no from anybody in this band, including myself. We don't shy away from any idea. There's when it comes time for the show or performing, people are going to do what needs to be done, and that type of instinct is something that you just can't teach somebody. And the fact that she did go after something like that, or the fact that just some crazy wires laying on stage actually can be a prop in Beasto. It's a wonderful thing to be part of.
And I guess when you work with Alice Cooper for so long, it becomes kind of second nature to go for that effect on stage, right?
Yeah, it never occurred to me Well, in life too, it never occurs to me that I shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, so if it's on stage, I mean, I could have hurt myself probably, but I don't think so. And then whatever, I learned the lesson.
She has zero fatalities on stage up to this point, but you never know what can happen.
Well, fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
If anybody's going to die, it's going to be me.
Do you guys work with someone specifically to design the light shows, the theatrical elements, and so on? Is there a choreography and whatnot, or?
I fear the world when that can actually start happening. When we have that budget in mind, where we can go ahead and design an entire show. I mean, we do put a lot of thought into it. We do the best we can with what we got. I'll make an effort to give a lighting guy tons of notes that are that he can do if he's just seen the show for the first time. Like I said, we kind of learned that. Our show has become this like underground kind of CBGB's type environment. So it's set for that type of scene, but also it's made for a massive arena stage. So we've done them on both settings. But it hasn't gotten to the point where we've had the privilege to design a whole entire set and lighting and all that stuff. And I look forward to the time when we can really set ourselves free with that.
And I noticed there are a couple of fan pages from Europe on Facebook, like UK, Norway, etc. Your sound is so distinctively American. So I was curious to find out how European audiences receive it and react to it.
So far, so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we're getting a lot of good reaction from other countries. We do very well over in Europe. We're about ready to head over there in June. We're doing a festival called the Metapalooza Festival with the Uncles again, and Megadeth and Arch Enemy and other bands like that. So, I mean, we're finding our audience. That's for sure.
And you have an album recorded in Berlin, a live album, right? Is there a specific vibe in Berlin that you guys go for by recording there?
We were on tour with the Verse Uncles during their 19-show arena tour throughout Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. They were gracious enough to record a couple of shows from us in Berlin. Live at the Mercedes-Benz Arena there in Berlin happened to be one of the greatest nights we captured. It was a great crowd. It was really, they were just vibrating hard, and we were having a good time. We were deep into the tour at that point, so it just made the most sense for us to release that record. We had such a great time with those guys. We look forward to joining them again.
And you mentioned there's a third album on the way. What can we expect next as a next chapter for Beasto Blanco?
Callie.
What?
What can they expect next?
The stuff that you loved about the other records, the really like the hard rock kind of glamour and sweaty guitars. I mean, it really is. This record is a little bit of a jump because, like Chuck said, it's stuff that I love, the music that I love, and it's a departure record a little bit, which I'm excited about. But you can definitely, I mean, if you go to the gym, this is your record. Every song on this record makes me go, I want to run, I want to blow things up, I want to kidnap a clown. Like, it's just insane. Like, it makes you like feel something that's explosive, and I love that.
We're really tapping into expanding our way of arranging songs and getting deeper with the lyrics and just growing a little bit each time we make a record.
It's such a coincidence that Calico said that, because yesterday, preparing for this interview, I actually went to the gym and listened to both the albums. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm a genius.
Yeah. But speaking a bit about the two albums so far, the first one has a lot of self-references in the lyrics, like the Western track Il Nostro Spirito and also the title song Beasto Blanco. On the second one, it seemed a bit more established and like mature and less concerned with marking the territory. So I think it was a step up, from the first to the second.
And that's the exact same approach we're taking on the third record. I mean, we invite you to go on this journey with us, if you will. Listen, if I was a music fan and I stumbled upon Beasto Blanco and heard every record in the quality of the songs and the quality of the show, it's a fun band to be part of. You're going to get so much for your money.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, there's something to be said about the first, second, third records. I mean, it is a lot like high school. You know what I mean? You're a freshman, you come in, you got to piss on your territory. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's good. You're excited.
What kind of school did you go to?
A good one. I went to public school, baby. Public school. But I mean, it's the freshman record is fun, and it's nitro, and it's really exciting to listen to. I still love listening to that first record. But then, like you said, then all of a sudden you get, sophomore, and then it's got a little deeper, and it's got a little more footing, a little more grounded. I mean, this next one is definitely the maturity level of the lyrics and the songs and stuff like that. I mean, it's still rock and roll and a half, but it's certainly something that you go back and listen to 3-4 times and you go, wow, I said something there. Yeah.
And who's the main lyricist of the band? Because I noticed some unusual titles in the latest album, Sadhana and Carcosa. What can you tell us about those songs?
Oh man, that's it's me going off on my yoga meditation trip as well. I started working a lot with Lindsay Garric, who helped with a couple of the lyrics on the first record. And it was her idea that sort of sparked writing the self-titled Beasto Blanco record together, which was when she'd come to me with the idea of Death Rattle, and that sort of I was really loved the lyrics and the concept she was going after at that point. I knew that I could rely on her to help. She knows Beasto very well. She knows every person in the band. She knows the Beasto credo like it's her own. So it was easy for her to sort of tap in and help create the visuals that we needed. So then I could focus on the music and melodies and things like that, and we were able to really come up with a great concept, I thought, for the last record.
I'm glad you said something, because I was like, I always wondered, I go, why is it called sadhana? Because I'm not very much into yoga and things like that, but I go, wow, that's a cool word.
Another good bit I found was "You Make Dark Matter" on the song "Dark Matter." I thought it was an interesting play on words on that one. So props to you. Yeah, that was a fun one to write and a fun one to record, and it's one of the the real fans that really love Beasto. It's one of their favorite. Yeah,
it's such a visual song and has such a positive message.
And you've been in the Monsters of Rock cruise twice now. I had a question. Is it difficult to replicate your live show in a cruise atmosphere? I mean, it's got to be difficult to talk about dark themes while people having drinks at the pool watching you guys, right?
Don't be surprised. These people are there to rock. And, I mean, they're not asking us to do shows in the sunlight at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, We're better. 10 p.m., in the theater band. So they have beautiful theaters that really replicate, the theaters that we play normally. So it's like, it's this beautiful dark theater, amazing light shows on those boats. Because think about it, it's an entertainment boat. So whether it's, a rock cruise or a Disney cruise or whatever, I mean, they've got lighting rigs, amazing sounds, great technicians. So we're really actually getting a more controlled environment there than anywhere. And by the end of the night, these people are drunk. And by these people, I mean everyone, including me. we get on stage and those people are there. They want to see Beasto. They're dying for it. Yeah, they could be at 5 other shows at the same time. Which is kind of the hard thing of a cruise is so many people are playing at once, but man, they come out in droves to see us. I mean, the whole cruise, I love watching. It's like, 10 Beasto hats going this way and, 50 guys in Beasto shirts over there. And I'm going, whoa, we're doing it.
Yeah, I gotta say, I've never been to a rock cruise before, but it's on my bucket list for sure.
You should definitely come next year. We're looking for you.
Yeah. Let's talk about the videos for a minute. So far, I've seen Grind, Death Rattle, and Breakdown, all of which they seem to come from a Rob Zombie film. Nowadays, with so many different ways of getting music out there, would you consider releasing music in a different format, like linking it to a horror story of some kind, or like a short film?
I love that. That is something that we are working on right now as we speak. I mean, we are in the process of putting something like that together, just writing it right now. But we've talked about that in depth. So, yes, it is something we are, I think, Beasto, it would be amazing for us. We could really tell a story in our own unique way. There's so many talented people around us to help that happen. But there's definitely another side of Beasto to come out.
Cool. And aside from the European tour that's booked, there's a few North American shows as well, right?
Yeah, so we'll start that in July. Sorry, the Monstrous Things tour will start off in July, and we're really looking forward to getting back and doing some damage in the United States.
I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys on the road. I'm here in Toronto, by the way, but you guys come across the border, right? Every now and then.
Oh, I hope so. We'd love to get there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward also to a new album. What's the tentative release date?
I can't really give you an honest answer right now, but I will say soon.
Okay, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, guys. So,
thank you.
Yeah, nice talking to you, and all the best in the new tour. Hopefully, we'll get a new album soon, and hope to catch you on the road very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you for the interview.
Thanks, guys.
Nice talking to you.
Thanks, Calico. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys, that was my interview with Chuck Garric and Calico Cooper from Beasto Blanco. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast in order to get notified of all our interviews, as well as our Talking Perspectives weekly podcast discussion. And of course, make sure you like us on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and visit our website at www.sonicperspectives.com. Once again, I'm Rodrigo Altaf, and I'll leave you with Beasto Blanco's cover of Alice Cooper's Feed My Frankenstein. Take care and rock on!
I'm just good looking. Start a little fire and baby start cooking. You're a hungry man, but you don't want pizza.